A good Erev Shabbos, everybody. Whether this is truly the Parsha that the Rebbeinu Shalom excludes Moshe Rabbeinu's Torah, his name, from the Chayim Sifrecha, because certain things he threw out tonight is Mekuyim anyway. So you don't find Moshe Rabbeinu's name in the Sefer. The Ato, and you. Who's you? Who's Moshe Rabbeinu? But he didn't say Vayidaber Hashem Moshe Lema. Because it's the one little b'chein Sifrecha. I don't know if anything you can learn too much from that, except maybe the fact that using a person's name is a milah, even when in general there's a spach, if you use it as a bracha to the person himself, that maybe that counts as something special. I don't know. It's a point of thinking about it. Anyway, the first mitzvah Parshas Tetzaveh is the union of the Tetzaveh-Zachor. Rashi in Parshas Emor says that Nemes, and that's where the Parsha of Tetzaveh is. It's not here. It's in Parshas Emor. So why is it put here? So Rashi says, I'll say La Mishkan. The Shaila is again, the Seder Mishkan may not even be here. So why is it here? You know what I mean? Okay, so you tell me he's talking about the Mishkan, so you have to tell me already this. Could be. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe Vayikra then had to be here, so why only the Parshas thing says. But if you notice that the Kohuni Gedela has nothing to do with the Shem Zayis. In other words, Adlokas HaNeres has nothing to do with the Kohuni Gedela. Because the first two psukim, which has to do with Adlokas HaNeres, says Aaron Achicha, right? And you give it Lefnei Chukaselu. The parsha afterwards, Parshas Chavches, says V'yato hakriv elachas Aaron Achicha l'Kohuni Gedela. So Kohuni Gedela comes after Hadlokas HaNeres. So my Aaron HaKohen would have had Hadlokas HaNeres even if he never became Kohen Gadol, even if Moshe Rabbeinu would have been Kohen Gadol, would have been the Kohen. The mile is, that's a little bit hard to say. I'll explain that in a minute. Let's first understand it, then I'll get to explain it. Parshas B'Shalach, the Beishim says he because they'll go back to Mitzrayim. Now there's a fear that when I do something, I have to know what the results are going to be. I have to know if they're going to work out to do the way that it's a toyelas, not a chasorim. So the idea was there should be no doubts in the Keiches HaKodesh Baruch Hu. And if I go derech Eretz Plishtim, that could be that they would see doubts. And they'll see what the doubts would be. There'd be a war, and we wouldn't fight the war. We can't say that we those got scared of war. It's that's up to Rabbeinu Shalom. Because it says they went out chamushim all the Eretz Mitzrayim, right? Biyodrama. They went out biyodrama. You know, you give a little kid don't have to say little kids, okay, big kids. We call them cowboys. You know, guys who, we got to do there. So you have a shayla, can I carry a gun on Shabbos or not? Why, self-protection. I don't know if you didn't hear the shayla. There was the shayla. Maybe it went down a little bit now in asking it. Okay, but there was the shayla, especially during the demonstrations, that, you know, someone has to carry a gun. The guy carrying a gun is more dangerous to me than the gangster himself. Because one of the things that you have to do is, if you ever read that when they have a hostile situation and a cop gets killed or a cop gets wounded, it's usually by friendly fire. By other cops get shot him. Not the perpetrator, not the gangster. Why didn't the gangster shoot him? Gangster can kill. He knows how to kill. He learned, he trained, he's good. He's dangerous. But if you don't, the fact that you can shoot good at a shooting range doesn't make you a good shot. It makes you a steady shot. That means I can aim to hit something. But when I see a guy coming at me with a gun, my hand all of a sudden goes like this. And all of a sudden I don't hit the guy, I hit all the people around the guy. And that's dangerous. If you ask a kasha, should I take a taser gun? No, maybe. I can't kill anybody at least. So I hurt someone, but at least I didn't kill him. So whatever it is, it goes away. So, okay, so that I can hear you, Shaila, can I carry for such a thing? So you go learn Rosh Hashanah, so you'll find out. But Lamaisa, but over here, the question is, simply if you're safe or not. So you're not nearly safe. So the Indian, they give a guy the gun, but he thinks he's safe. I got a gun now. I'm a big shot. Right? What do I do with the gun? As long as nobody comes against me, I'm brave. Right? As soon as someone comes against me, I'm the same coward as I ever was before. Doesn't make a difference. Just went out of Mitzrayim. By the Plishtim, there was a shvur l'linin l'nechti, v'Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak Avinu. So the guy was still alive. He was still alive in David's time. I don't know why he lived so long, but he was alive even in David's time. They couldn't even attack then. In other words, we can't find it because we're not allowed to touch him. So therefore, there was an Indian, they may not see a war. We don't see a war, so all of a sudden, God can't do it. We see it in the end of the 40 years also, when Derech Eretz Edom, when he told them that I'm not giving you Edoms, you got to go around, right? So why weren't they? They lived 40 years in the Midbar already. They saw all the nisim that took place in the Midbar. They had no doubts about the Keiches HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so they believed it. But if it would happen when you first come out of Mitzrayim, maybe it wouldn't be. So in the beginning of learning Torah, it's very important to absorb Klolim, understand them, and what do you call it, especially Ashkofis. It also works later, but later on we hope that you're Talmud enough that even though you have Sveikis, that you'll understand it. But in the beginning of your learning, it's a very dangerous thing. Rosh Hashiva once spoke with Maisa about this. There was a time, must be about 50, 60 years ago, that became a ruach, and there's still yeshivas that do it, and they're wrong. And the thing is that they teach brachas as in first Masech, they learn. And the din is mechuyev to learn b'metzia, the second or third perek. And at that time, the yeshiva, there was a day school in the yeshiva in Manhattan that was started to teach brachas, so it started to be attractive. Because it sounded very good. It sounds very good. This is relative. This is not sheikhs to me. No, your kids are mazikim. You don't know about. They'll find things and things like that. I think that's mazikim is pretty necessary for your kids. But okay, but you want to go. You want to teach them brachas. It's more important. You want to tell them. Okay, teach them. So it's more important. Brachas more relevant. So they want to learn these brachas. So we're losing kids. So there were a few rebbeim in the yeshiva at that time that said maybe we should also teach brachas first. What's wrong with that? Well, she was the only time I ever remember it or ever heard about it. The yeshiva called Nasif of all the rebbeim. And he told them that the minig is to learn B'mitzir, the second or third day, for hundreds of years. The first reason, he said, is a very simple one, is that you should know the Torah starts in the street, not in the Beis Medrash. I can't be a ganef before you have to learn, you have to pray to God. You understand? You have to first to be in the street. And if you learn B'mitzir first, how many blot are you going to learn? 5 blot are you going to learn? So you will hear 1,000 times, you can't take somebody else's. That way you won't touch anybody else's. Then you can go weiter. And the second thing, that's what he said then. We had a Maisa here. We were learning about Mitzvah. It was the second time and we were learning about Mitzvah, I think. So it goes back a long time ago, but at least 15 years later in the yeshiva, something like that. And you had one kid borrows a tape recorder from another kid. If you guys don't know what a tape recorder is, it used to be cassette tapes. A little box with a little tassel at the end. And, like kids are kids. The 9th grade, he took the tassel, he twisted it around his head, and obviously the tassel wasn't put on that well, and it slipped off, hit the wall, and smashed the tape recorder. And they're coming to ask Shaila if he's chayiv to pay for it. And they're learning B'mitzvah. So I asked them, you asked me the Shaila, what kind of Shema are you? I'm a Shaila. I said, a Shaila is chayiv for what? For Einsim. So what's your kasha? So what's your Shaila? Oh yeah. I mean, it don't make sense. So I went to Rosh Hashiva. I had a mevucha. I went to Rosh Hashiva. I don't understand. We teach the kids. They know the Gemara. They understand. They know the law, and they can't put 2 and 2 together. That affects them. He said to me, "Go find out what Masech they learned first." So I went back and I asked them, and he both learned brachas first. And he says, "That's why." I don't remember if I figured it out myself or he told me that. I can't remember. I don't remember already. But what do you mean? That's the reason. When you learn brachas, you learn about learning davening vasikin. Iman netzachama. That's when you chuyev davening. Take a look in Shulchan Aruch. There's only one time for davening. The time of davening is im hanetzachama. The im hispalel. But if you davened like the di'evid between alois hashachar and dalet shoyis, yotza. Hey, I want to daven l'chatchila. Which yeshiva davens vatikin? Why don't we daven vatikin? It's not practical, it's not this, it's not that, right? But that's the law. So why aren't we davening vatikin? The teretz is, the pshat is, we have to get to a madrega to understand there's what you have to do and what there's madrigas in doing. And over there, you start learning the chatchila, it all sounds, this is what you have to do, and they don't do it. Remember, if you all guys remember, in my door at least, now Baruch Hashem, I think, Baruch Hashem know about Zman Kriya Shema. Most millionim you have in the world, with the B'nai Torah, they meet Zman Kriya Shema. But used to be only 9 o'clock was the regular minyan. 7 o'clock was Machal Shabbos minyan on Shabbos. 9 o'clock was the regular minyan. 9 o'clock, half a year would miss Zman Kriya Shema. So why are we doing this? Why does the rabbi have to get up Friday night and say, remember guys, Zman Kriya Shema is at 9:12 tomorrow morning, and we start at 9:30. So we have to learn Krishma first. Why do you have to tell me that? Start at 8:30, and you'll be able to do it. Why are you starting at the wrong time? Why are you doing this? Oh, well, that's where we're trained, whatever reason it is. Because of that, how many Bochum never learned Zman Krishma when they went to school? They also didn't learn it with Zmanim. Came to school, they forgot to learn Krishma, they learned the thing there. So it was a big kipeda that you should know that the mashgiach could get up at the hospital, a mashgiach from a big yeshiva was. That the Talmud said that he once told the Talmidim, I daven, what he called Krishma, like the Magen Avram, every single day. Right? And he says, so you'll think I'm bragging about it, right? Because, it's a thing there. It's not bragging. Why? It's a mitzvah say like any other mitzvah say. If that's the mitzvah, why aren't you doing it? I love, well, somehow it became like something special. You met in Krishma Mizmana, that's something special. I think it shouldn't be special. That's a mitzvah say. So why is it special? Because we're trained that way. That most people don't do it. So therefore, and I know my father an Elohiyid. You can't tell me my father, who never learned Krishma B'zmana, is not an Elohiyid. He's an Elohiyid. So therefore, it's okay to do something, even if it says you have to do it. Not to do it, but even though it says do it. So even though you tell me I'm chayiv to pay, it's only maybe a chumrah. It's only a thing this is, but it's not a chiyuv really to pay. That's what they were asking. Means the whole Torah becomes that way. That's why you can't afford these type of errors in the beginning of your learning or beginning of understanding of what Torah is. You have to get some kind of requirement. So the king thing comes to Torah. When you explain Torah, especially Hashkofas, it has to be clear. No shmorim in it. In other words, to make a Tetzaveh-Zachor, I think they say there's only one drop or maybe 2 drops of oil that comes out of the thing before you get shmorim. It's a solid thing, an olive. It may be juicy, but it's a solid. It's like an apple. You got apple juice too, right? Grape juice, I know how you can get. Orange juice, I know how you get, right? But I can't see how you get apple juice, right? But obviously there's a type of grinding and stuff like that. But there's an initial thing that there's a drop that comes out clear. That's the only thing. You didn't have shmorim in there, so then I don't have to remove it. Once you have to remove the shmorim to make it clear, there's no guarantee that you get all of them. So in taste, it may be a very good thing. It's for menachos and that like that, it's fine with shmorim. But for the hadlok of Torah, that it has to be clear, that's a thing that if it's not clear, l'chatchila. So the yeshiva, I remember, was very makpid on trying to force a kasha. In other words, sometimes you sit in a class and you think you got a bomb kasha. The Rebbe thinks he's got a bomb kasha. And he says it over to the Bacham, and they're looking at him, like what's this? So he asks him, the health? And of course they say, no. Okay, let's go over it again. And he goes and he goes and he says 1 time and 2 times and 10 times until the guy says, oh, I hear. Okay, good kasha. Okay, now we got a good kasha. What does the Rebbe do now? And I'm going to show you my teretz. Right? So the Rebbe goes and tells the teretz. That's the teretz. The Bacha says, what? That's a teretz? Doesn't answer what I think that this is. I think he's off base, whatever it is there. So you created a kasha he never had, and now you never, and you can't get rid of it because your teretz doesn't suffice in his mind. Maybe in your mind it does, but not in his mind. So you created doubts. We don't create doubts in Torah. Okay, this is just, again, I don't know if he told it to me or not. I don't think he told it to me. The shaila is, what do you do, Taka? How many times you got to... You're answering with 1 teretz, you can answer 10 kashas. And one of them is a whopper. So how are you going to answer the whopper? For the whopper, the guys will look at it and say, I don't hear this, right? So how to remove people's doubts? So if you say it the other way, you answer the schwache tasha with it. And then you say, with this teretz, can I transfer in this kasha, right? And just leave it that way. The guy's going to work on it himself, see maybe it's a song in him if he doesn't understand it. But he's not going to come to any conclusions that, the Rebbe told to me and I don't hear what he's talking about. He never told it to me. He just told me that it will answer it. So I got to figure it out. So I'm working on it. That's the stuff like that. How do you have such a thing? But this is a problem that exists in the world, that they put the doubts in my time I was in yeshiva. There was an institution. I'm not going to remember where it is because maybe I think it may still exist. It's the land of supposedly former people, and whatever it is. But there was an institution that taught Bible criticism. Bible criticism is you ask basic questions. That's all this basically is. But you go to become big up Kursim from it. And that's the thing though. I mean, depends, because the kashas remain. The kashas remain. Depends how you ask the kasha. How you remain. There's certain things it's not true. But at the same token, sometimes you don't. And it's dangerous. You have to know how to teach those types of things. So Aharon is the natural teacher. They were the teachers of Klal Yisrael. Shevet Levi, Shevet Shimon maybe, but those were called natural teachers. And the Rosh Yeshiva used to say this thing there, the difference between someone that's a natural and someone that teaches himself to become, it's a grace inyan, but you're only necessary b'mokim she'enish. If there's an ish, the ish should get it. Now, there's a guy who knows how to teach, and what I mean, it has nothing to do with knowing how to teach. I don't know, I can't even understand it. I know the sort of difference between me and my wife, so I can tell you the difference. I myself would try to teach. I couldn't keep discipline. And the guys would sit around me, eager to hear what they said. That's not the way the principal wanted the class. The principal wanted the class in rows. The kid should be in that corner somewhere over there, not right up next to you, to try to find out what's going on. Right, so it doesn't look good for when you show the kids the class. So maybe that wasn't very good at it. My wife would walk in, and she'd just look at you, and you'd keep quiet. So there's a big difference. But she was a Levi, so therefore comes that chaos that they had. Her father was able to do it. Benjamin Kamenetsky told me that her father had 84 kids in the first grade till they gave him 40. Now, 84 kids in first grade, can you imagine such a thing? Okay, even 40 kids in first grade, can you imagine such a thing, right? And now what do? You have more than 10 kids in the class. Oh, sorry, we're too big. We can't accept your kid anymore. We're all full. Okay, no, but once upon a time, every kid that wanted to learn Torah, you put them in the yeshiva. You didn't have a baby, you made the baby. You stuck them in the class. What do you care? Anyway, that's what it was once upon. But anyway, that thing would have gone to what he calls anyway. Now, to Aaron, make him Kohen Gadol. Make him Kohanim, whatever you want to call it. I think it's a very interesting thing. I think we mentioned last time that these Kohanim are very interesting people. The Benishon was very angry at Aaron. So why would he pick Aaron to make a Kohanim from him? I'm talking about Ruchnis. He was angry at him for the Egel. So if he was angry at him for the Egel, so why is he going to make them into the Kohen Gadol? But there was no Oyev Shalom, V'Oyev Shalom, and Klal Yisrael except Aaron. And therefore, he has to be the Kohen Gadol because that's his job. That's the job of the Kohen. So whether he meets this or doesn't meet that, but the Chala Pachas, he's the Oyev Shalom and the Oyev Shalom. That's the thing that he has. And he gave it to him. That's the thing, though. And that's why Pinchas, it's very interesting. Pinchas is given to Kohen Gadol. He was not a Kohen. He was a Yisrael. Because he wasn't, when he mentioned only 5 people to give the Kohen Gadol, to Aaron Bonov, not to the grandchildren. Pinchas was born already. So Pinchas, the Kohen, did not come to Pinchas from Aaron, the thing over there. So how come the Benishon gives him the bracha of Kahuna? If let's say a guy from Shevet Reuven would have done something good like that, he would also give him Kahuna? I don't think so. Because he had the Meilah coming from Aaron. He still had that Meilah of Oyev Shalom v'Oyev Shalom. So he gave it to him. But no, Yisrael would have gotten a different schar, whatever it was in there, but Pinchas got that schar.
Why is Kahuna Tolin?
Sorry?
Why is Kahuna Tolin in Oyev Shalom?
Why is the Kahuna Tolin in Oyev Shalom?
But that's the purpose of the Kahuna. When the Kohen Gadol dies, you can leave the Ori Miklat. Till then, you got to stay there. Why? Because he's the one that's supposed to teach Shalom. And obviously he didn't teach you, so he has to die. So that's the thing. It's a big responsibility on the Kohanim. I mean, but if they're not Oyev Shalom, V'Oyev Shalom, they're not doing their job. Okay, so there's this, and that you make, and he goes through here. He's talking about Aaron to make him recover the Seforim. But later on, he also uses the begodim recover the Seforim for Lebanov, just before Revi. We'll see here. ולבני אהרן תעשה כתונס וסיסו הם הבניתם לגבויס תעשו להם לכבד ולספורס. And then he gives the parasha afterwards, ועשו להם מכנסי בד. Here it doesn't separate מכנסי bad from the rest of them there. That doesn't mention מכנסיים at all, but it just mentions, but he says, what did the Kohen wear? A basic Kohen. But Kohen Gadol he had the 4 extra begodim, but the first 4 were basic: pair of pants, shorts, right, a long jacket, right, a belt and a hat, right. No seems to be no extra begodim. They didn't wear underwear then. Kohen Gadol. These are 4 begodim. That's it. Not 6 begodim. Not 8 begodim. 4 begodim. So if he wears it, so why still cover the Seforim? You need a simple chassis elva. Right? So the Rashiva said that Nemesis, we have to be like Odom Rishon Kodem Achet. Odom Rishon Kodem Achet were running around naked. Why are they running around naked for? It's the same natural teva it was then, it's not the teva now. Like if you ever think about it, and analyzing yourself, different type of averas that you do, or think about doing, or whatever it is, not you bedavke, there's averas that we use the word, I have a yetzer hara for it, right? Why do I have a, it's for chocolate. Why is it the yetzer hara? Right? I need to eat food. Chocolate is a min food, gives me energy, right? So why is it the yetzer hara? Right? Elevats, we call the yetzer hara something we have a strong desire for. But it's not really necessarily yetzer hara. I have a strong desire to serve Hashem, we call it yetzer hara to serve Hashem. I mean, there'll be very strange lotion using that, you know. I have a yetzer hara to serve Hashem, to yetzer hara to learn Torah. So, well, you shrega. You think that. So we're talking about, I want to do an avera. When a guy eats talfus, he wants to do an avera, or he's hungry. I mean, we're assuming that he's hungry, right? There's the guys who reach the madriga, they want to do the avera already, but I'm just saying what the thing. So, what is the? So I'm hungry. The dinner Talmud Chacham shouldn't eat in public, right? Talmud Chacham eat in public. You don't have guests in the houses on Shabbos, on Sunday, Monday, whatever it is there. Don't invite someone to eat with them. Oh, they only serve, they don't eat. Okay, that's very nice if you do that. Okay, let's see. I don't think the wives will be so happy with that. They have to serve twice. But anyway, Elevos, why don't you eat in public? Because you're a slob. That's why you don't eat in public. And they shouldn't say on a Talmud Chacham that he's a slob. So you got to be very nice in how you eat. You have to know how to be feel-sach yourself. But if I use it l'shem shemayim, I'm eating it, and you can see how I'm eating it, and how am I eating it, and you can learn from what I'm eating it. It's something to hate, eat in public all you want. So the same thing goes with arayis. It's arayis I want a woman. And that's a mitzvah. Why is it an avera? Except you make it an avera because I don't want this other woman, I want this. And food, there's other foods I want. I want the chazer, I don't want this lebehemah. But there's not, that wouldn't be also in the thing, except it's what you do with it. You make it into a shmutz, so it becomes a shmutz. But the yetzim, it shouldn't be a shmutz. That's the way your Be'ezer made the world. They made the world, and what's wrong with it? So it should be done publicly. So all of us, because it goes to machshavos of the wrong things going at that time. When the Kohen is only avodah, he's got to be in that madrege that he's so l'shem shemayim that he can do it in public. You know, there's nothing from his mind. So that's why you need to cover the Seforim. And the reason they put Mishmasayim separate is the Torah that they got them on Mechaper. So that was the thing. Then they took the tact for that one, the Mishmasayim, because that has all that point of it. Okay. The godless of Bnei Yisrael, I mean, in a way, even stronger than the others. I mean, the question of the Yom Tumah, if they had the others or not, that's because you need all the letters and stuff like that. But if you didn't have all the others, just these Bnei Yisrael, why Bnei Yisrael? Why didn't we put the others in front of God all the time? So mashma, but whatever they did, I don't know what they did. Because we don't really have a good picture of the jobs of every shevet. We have an idea of some. Let's say Shimon, we know Lamed and Seforim, brought down. Reuven, Yosef, Amalachim, White collar workers, if you call it that's what a melech is. Melech doesn't have to be the guy sitting on the top. He's the inspector. He's also a melech. You can tell you shut that off. He's a melech. He's telling you what to do, and stuff like that. That's white collar workers. There's also blue collar workers. There's also colors. I have no idea. So I'm going to tell you, you have a standing army. God was supposedly a standing army that they always had. In other words, and stuff like that. But each one serves HaKadosh Baruch Hu in different ways. Nusach and the schoyes of davening are based on this type of stuff. I assume that every Shavit had its own davening once upon a time, own siddur. This is I guess the printing companies will make an amendment. Because they had to print 12 different, or 13 or 14 different siddurim. I have no idea what they had to print, right? But they printed different siddurim. The problem is that we don't know who we are anymore. The only ones that know are the Bnei Levi, and the ones that know are the Kohanim or Levim. Everybody else doesn't know who they come from. So in Mela, we don't need to know our Nusach HaTfilah. So the nuschoyes that are taken are the nuschoyes that were passed down that somehow incorporated all the shvatim into one siddur. In other words, how they did it, I don't know. I don't know what they did. I have no idea. And therefore you have different inyonim of how to daven. Can I change from Tzval to Ashkenaz, or Ashkenaz to Tzval, and stuff like that? And the Rosh Yeshiva's answered that he got himself daven Tzval till he was 12 years old, because he came from his grandfather was a chassid, and the thing over there, they daven Tzval till 12 years old. And they moved to Seforim. So when he said you can change from Tzval to Ashkenaz, you can't change from Ashkenaz to Tzval. Why not? Because originally, when they left Yerushalayim, they were all davened Ashkenaz. Even the Tzvaldim davened Ashkenaz. It's only later on, the Arizal and these guys, that they started taking in their types of tefillos, Kabbalah and this, and from the Eidos HaMizrach, and stuff like that, that's when you had to come in. But the original Europeans, the ones that the Spanish, which is the Tzvaldim are Spanish, they're not guys from the Middle East. They went back to the Middle East, but they weren't from the Middle East. And stuff like that. So they originally were Ashkenazim. So that's what he's originally learned Ashkenaz, the thing there. It's interesting, Chaim Solomon, which guys learn the thing that he was a Polish Jew, but he was a Sephardi. But he was a Polish Jew. He came from Poland. Now, how did Sephardi land up in Poland? I have no idea. But he was in Poland. Nafkamina is why they were able to loan the money and American Jews weren't able to. Because American Jews came from England, those had their money in England. So England is not lending out money to the American army to fight the English government, obviously. So they had to have money from somewhere else. So the Tzvaldim had their money in Amsterdam. So that's where the money came. That's where Chaim Solomon was able to learn the money. And we get it on the dollar bill. The Great Seal of America is for Yidden. Look at the back of your dollar bill. You look at yourself, you'll figure it out. Single dollar. No, not the $100 bill. Single dollar. Okay. Then he comes along. of and goes to the Mavuyim. These Indian. There's something by the Kohen before. Kohen Bonov. No. But anyway, they made the Mavuyim. Now the Mavuyim, I assume, this I can't say for sure, but I assume that just like all the korbanos are dependent on the korbanos of the others, so are the Mavuyim compared to the korbanos of the others. So whoever was Bokor is Eichel Avram, with Elim, Zeichel Yitzchak, with Seforim, Zeichel Ya'akov. So first of all, we only have Purim and Elim. You don't have any Kvosim. Why not Yaakov? Because the purpose of Yaakov, what he teaches as his lesson, which is like Yamagdish the Gashmi, is by the Kohen, he's supposed to be Ruchni. So there's no Gashmi by him. So he's supposed to be a total Ruchnis, the thing over there. So there's no Sheikhs of Avodah to bring in Yaakov Avinu. But Avram and Yitzchak is here important. Because Avram has one milah that he did chesed. Didn't say did tzedakah. Right? It says he was Ava chesed. V'chayre, she's the Ava tzedakah. What are you talking about, Ava chesed? He had his, everybody was open, people need food, come to me. That's chesed, that's tzedakah. Guy needs a meal, what are you going to know? You're going to call it chesed? That's tzedakah, not chesed. Why do you call it chesed? The idea is, the Rashiva is the Kashi really, because for Chodesh and Pesach and Shavuos, you bring Shnei Purim. So yes, why you bring a Shnei Purim? It's either one par, if you take the pasuk literally, he took one animal. And if you learn the Medrash, that it took three, so he took three. But he didn't take one, so no one took two. So he gives an answer, what he gives an answer. I don't remember what he answers. But I answered that the pshat is there's two different inyonim. They have tzedakah is the result of the guy getting the what you gave him. In other words, the only ate, that's tzedakah. That's tzedakah. How he ate, that's chesed. When you make him don't feel like he's a beggar, he's that, you're not mekayim the mitzvah, so it's a thing going there. But the guy did eat. So when it comes to the Yom Noraim, which is Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Shmini Atzeres, all those three, it's only parechot you bring. It's only on Sukkot, on Pesach, Shavuos, it's 3 parot. Why? Because of Ben Shalom, you're coming for kapara, just deal with us as if one thing. We did one thing. That's all. We did the one thing. We say this, the Emerson, I shined that the answer took me a long time to get to it, the thing over there. I might as well tell you the whole story, okay. The Gemara says that when, depends who they were, the rich man and the poor man, where the poor man asked for his money at the end of 3 years' work, and he's going to go home for Sukkot, for Yom Noraim. He wanted to go home, and he asked him for his money, so he told him, I don't have any. And he's a billionaire. And he asked him for cattle, and the place is full of cattle. Right? I don't have any. Has nothing. So he went home alone, and then after Sukkot, the rich man comes with the thing, And the stories, it was Rabbi Akiva and it was Ben Azariah, doesn't make a difference in if they, who they were. The more doesn't say who they were. But there were the two people, he brings them all the stuff. And he asked them, what were you choshed before when I told you I didn't have any money? They thought you had a good deal, so you spent all the thing that you had fluid, you had to put into the business, so you didn't have any money. But I'm behemoth, you were magdish it, whatever, the thing, they never gave an excuse for everything. And he says, that's exactly what happened. And I didn't have any, but now that I got some, I'm bringing you the thing over there. And he says, the way you want choshed me, l'shem, so the benishim should not be choshed him. Choshed you. So I asked the question to my father at that time, the little kid, and I said that l'chayra, I can say the choshed, that the benishim, I should be Daniel Kapschus, is very easy, because I don't know the truth. Since I don't know the truth, so I can be Daniel Kapschus. The benishim knows the truth. So how can he be done with kafschus? That was my question. So the Rosh said he could. Okay. Took his word for it, but I didn't understand the word he said. Okay. What I thought it could mean, I made give my own thoughts, I will tell you all the years it took me to get to the speakerphone, was that that a person who is done the kafschus is not choshish himself. He does many things that there's marasayin involved. Why? Because if he saw someone else doing that, he wouldn't be choshish him. I got to go to the bathroom. So I went into the trefa restaurant. What's the kasha? I have no problem. If I saw you go to the trefa restaurant, I wouldn't think you're going to eat. So you even isa. Well, the bench won't be done yet, that is so, because he knows it. With you're a guy that's done the kafschus, so therefore he won't be done yet. In the end, I didn't think that's what the end is. Then one day, I don't remember when it was, obviously somewhere in the life between whatever I asked the question to whenever I am, right? I came across saying, Avinu Malkeinu, and I say, Sochreinu Sefer Schrias. Or Kasveinu b'Sefer Schrias, doesn't make a difference which one I was saying at the time. I said, I don't understand. Kasveinu b'Sefer Schrias, I can understand. Whether I deserve it or not, I'm asking you, put me there. Right? Put me in Slich v'Kapora. Put me there, right? But in Sefer Schrias, that you did mitzvahs, I didn't do them, so how can you put me in the book? Right? So I said that's probably what he meant. A person does a mitzvah, any mitzvah really, is for multiple reasons. A guy, he wants to give you, I guess he gave $1 million, he should build a building. He really wants to give them a building. But the same token, I like my father's name on the Shema Yeshiva, right? And I can go around bragging to all my friends. See that too? See that? Okay, so all of a sudden it's stuck here. It's not just the Shem Shemayim. There's a lot of not the Shem Shemayim there. We're asking the Rebbeinu Shalom, no matter what we did it for, of Lamaisa, the ultimate purpose was Mekuyim. Give me the schar for that. That's what we're asking for. The only ate, so that's all that we're interested in. He ate, it's fun. Just give me stuff. So when you're dealing with like Kodesh Baruch Hu, you're looking for the one. You're not looking for the two. Looking to grow, you need two in Yonim. But if you're looking for schar, you only intend for one. Okay, now the questions on the Elim is going to be more than just the kasha, why two Elim? The only time we have two Elim is on Sukkot. That's a different thing there also. And the Menuim has two Elim, but one was an Elim, one was a Shlomen. Or like a Shlomen, or whatever it was. So it's not such a, what do you call it, the Dimion. But the idea I claimed there were two Nisyonis in the Akedah. There's the basic one, which is Mesilas Nefesh, which is Yitzchak, right? And then when he wants something like that. So that's a grace of Adrega, right? But Avram had his own design. That's Akelis Yitzchak. That's not Akelis Avram. But there's an Akelis Avram, which is not brought down. What is that? I assume that Avram Avinu, when he was fighting Avodah Zarah, was fighting all the parts of Avodah Zarah. You don't bring human sacrifice. Not only you don't bring it to Avodah Zarah, but you don't bring human sacrifice, period. And the thing over there. And all of a sudden you're taking your son Yitzchak for a cover. That means you're a liar. All the things you told us for things for emes is sheker. Can you live with that? That people are more embarrassed from than other things. I can't appear to be a liar. I can't appear to be an amoritz. I can't appear to be this. Now it's the bizoyon of that. It's so much bigger than what he could be Meiser Nefesh and not. I can't. Whatever it is, this is it. So that was a big thing. That, in a way, is why maybe that Ayel, which is Avram, was like a Shlomo, not just a Nola. Yitzchak is a Nola Tamima, right? He's alive and he's a Nola. So the Rebbeinu wanted him to be the Korban, and he's a Korban. But I want you to live. I want you to go out and teach the world. I don't want you just to be somebody that's dead on the Mizbeach. It's gone, it's finished. I want the lesson to be permanent. So therefore you have to be around. Avram, on the other hand, is what we call you got to be normal. What do you mean that be normal? He lived in Uncle Shoyim. Or Goyim, I don't know why you say that, because under Mamre, I don't know if they were Shoyim, they were tzaddikim, but they were Kananim, whatever it is there. And he was with Eliezer, Yishmael. He was able to influence them. He was able to have Ashpoy on them. There was a thing there. So this is the point that a Yid is supposed to have in the same day. You have to have, you're living with the regular one. And in Emerson, I don't know what Kohanim look like. But I assume that Kohanim, or who had been Leviim, look different. Meaning, a Levi, or what do you call it, who lived, let's say, with Shevet Osher, in his cities, looked like an Osher person. And he lived with Yehuda, he looked like a Yehuda person. And he's like that, so if he was lived with Chassidim, he was a Chossid, he was lived with Snagin, he was with this, he was this. No, it's because they're all over the place. They're not just one, we're not just one group. We're a group that's split all over Klal Yisrael. We have a shpoy on them, so therefore we have a shpoy on everybody. We have a special need to be able to live with everybody. That everybody can live with us. And the thing goes there, they should aspire to us, but they shouldn't be afraid of us. The other people can do whatever they want. So that's why there's an union of being that one. So the Avram part, the Yitzchak part of being the Korban, you're separate, you're different things. Now, we'll go to the last thing, and I used to use it for the Rosh Hashiv, Hesped. This is the Yovtzeit that comes out with Parshas Tetzaveh always. So, not always, a couple of years, but the main thing there. So the Indian of the Mizbeach, Panimi. And then you have the Keteris. And they seem to be totally hach b'hach. Ve'tivas haneres, ve'hektiras haneres. And that's when you do the korban tamid. Now, we just 2 times a day you do the korban tamid, ve'tivas haneres, and when you light the neres, blokas haneres. And he used to say, the mila of the Rebbe-Talmud relationship, the pick as a mizbeach, is a great mila. It's separate for that reason. And the thing is, we have, what do you call it, 5 senses, right? There's only one sense that goes from far and bal kocha, and that's smell. In other words, the thing that's cooking is over there, but I smell it here, right? It's far. Also, I can't keep holding my nose like this all the time. Why not? Because the Gemara Psochim, that go, Yevshe become a skaven. Why is it Yevshe? Hold your nose. I can't hold my nose that long. It's impossible. Okay, so therefore, that's considered Yevshe. The hashpoya of a Rebbe has to be on the Talmud Merochik and Bal Kocha. Even though the Rebbe is not around. No, the Rebbe died, who cares? But the Rebbe did it. I can't do it. And and even though I really want to do it, I just can't. I can't. That's the hashpoya. Okay, and therefore it's totally hach. Okay. So I tied it over there at this point that the maftir is maftir between the two. This would have most of the Rosh Yeshivas Atzal. Vehikler Allah Aהרן הכהן sammen בבוקר ובבוקר, והטיבס הנבס יקטרנו maftir. That pasuk before maftir. So when we learn the maftir, we leave that one out. So the morning one, we don't have. We only have then we do have it. The second one, we have it. So I'm saying there are times in the, a normal Rebbe has hashpoya on his Talmidim for 2 reasons. Because he does both. He does once he's sumera v'asei. He teaches the kid, he cleans him, he gives him mussar, he gives him that. And at the same time, he teaches him. So it makes him a special relationship. Not everybody is zoiche, or not everybody, or the Gadol Ador, let's put it, can't possibly have the hashpoya of the sumera point. Well, you do in a way, because you do have, you write a sefer, or you write a book, or you give a shiur, and then you give a good shtick of mussar, and then it'll be passed down by 20,000 people. Did you hear what he said? So it does happen, but it's not the personal relationship that you have. And therefore, there's a difference in how the Rebbe applies those things. So a tiny that could be, in the book this way, that that is the difference between the Gemara in Basra and the Gemara in Kedushin. You know, it's Basra, it tells you, the Chavala from an Aleph, I believe it is, it tells you over there that Shmuel not Zefis. Anyway, he asked Rav, what do you do if you have a kid that fell asleep in chair? I mean, he's escaped to sleep, little kid. He says you keep promoting him. Well, don't you teach it to any menayel and any yeshiva. You're supposed to keep promoting the kid that slept, that got the 0 all the time there. Now wake up and learn. Oh, we can't put him there, he'll be behind the class, you can't do all the good stuff. I say, Gemara, No, Akasha Gemara. Okay, that's the story with Rav. By Abai and the Moran Kedushin, as it says, if you come before your child learning Torah, but if his son is a real smart kid, his son is smart. It goes first. So Rav Acha Yankov had a son called Rav Yankov. He was an Amayr already. And he learned by Abaya, and he saw he didn't understand the Shiurim. So he told Abaya, he told the son, you stay and I'm going to work. I'm going to learn by Abaya. Shaila is, you don't understand, if he made a mistake, that he wasn't able to mechaven that his son is not as smart as he thinks he is, so whatever it is. So what do you want from us? Right? And of us, he was right. But he learned by Abaya as a Talmud years ago. And therefore, when Abaya was teaching the third grade, and he understood Abaya, and he followed Abaya. Now that Abaya is the God Lador, he understands the way he talks. He understands the way he thinks this. And maybe he be a Talmud by him. When I was in Lakewood, there was for different reasons, the different Avaras. But most guys didn't understand the Shir. Because he spoke a Litvish, Yiddish, very heavy and very fast. So I was brought up in a Litvish house, so I was able to understand the Shir. And so I was understanding the way he talks. They couldn't understand. They got lost right away. I mean, there was a thing there. So maybe it was okay. So obviously there's differences, and we are Avora, even the way the guy explains things. He asks a brisket to go to a regular shir. I don't know if he can do it. And I don't know if a regular guy can go to a brisket shir, the thing over there, because I can't sit that long for the thing over there. You're taking too much time or whatever it is there. And so I'm saying there are different styles and things that people get used to, so therefore he was able to do it. So I said, why was that? Because a Rebbe with his Talmidim has no excuse. I teach the top of the class, middle of the class, the bottom of the class. You teach every kid in your class. That's your job. And if you're supposed to do that, then it doesn't make a difference if he sleeps or not. When he wakes up, he's with his friends, he has the same mental, whatever it is, able to explain, and then you have to explain a little more, you'll explain a little more to him. That's your job. But when it came to Abaya, he's the Gadol Ador, so he had to give over as much as he can before he dies. And therefore, he just keeps throwing things out at you. And not everybody's able to absorb it. So therefore, there chat is, I can hear it more than you can, so that's more important I go than you go, and stuff like that. Yeah, with the Goyin didn't write too much himself. His Talmidim wrote it. Obviously, there wasn't enough for everyone. I mean, it was enough for everyone, meaning, but the thing is that everyone to write everything would be like the Goyin would have to write. They didn't have no time. So all of us, each one picks one part to write. So this guy wrote on Meseltas Kanis, this guy wrote on Nobis, this guy wrote on this guy wrote on that. Yeah, on this thing, because each Talmud took a certain facet of the Rebbe and he learned it over and gave it over to the what do you call it. And that's what the Gadol Ador is supposed to do. So the Goyin, Taki, had no time to write himself. Had no time to put it down himself. He just kept pouring it out, until as much as the people were able to accept, and stuff like that. And that was the difference. And that was the difference in the Gadol Ador and the Radical. So whenever you have a lot of Torah, you keep pouring it out, it has that influence. Because, as they say, the Rosh Yeshiva was a nice guy, normal guy, whatever you want to call it, to fit into those, to the Avram part and this thing there. And yet, he was able to write the things that the people considered a Talmud. Why am I a Talmud? Thing there. I guess Shilas, big deal. But I was not near myself to a certain extent. And because of that, why? Because there was so much Torah that you can do that. So that's why I teach. By that Lokas, I've never spent how much in night. I'm good in Shabbos, everybody.